Hello everyone. Today we shall learn the further part of the lesson. So the next topic which we are going to study is concepts or terms which are related to depository system. So mainly four terms or four concepts we are studying in this part. In that first one is dematerialization. So dematerialization is also called as DMAT. It is a process whereby a client can get physical certificates converted into electronic mode. So DMAT is a process where a shareholder or an investor can get converted his physical certificates into इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मोड. मतलब अगर उसको फिजिकल फॉर्म में उसके शेयर्स या सिक्योरिटीज नहीं चाहिए then he can convert his securities into electronic mode, and that process is called as DMAT process. Here the client has to surrender the certificates along with the DRF, that is the DMAT request form. The depository participant forwards these to the depository, who in turn forwards it to the issuer company. After confirmation from issuer, the depository will credit the securities in the DMAT account with the depository participant. So how this DMAT process is done? If the client or if the investor wants to convert his physical certificates into electronic mode, then he has to surrender all his certificates along with the DRF form, that is DMAT request form, to the depository participant. Then the depository participant sends or forwards these certificates to the depository system, and these depositories will forward those certificates to the issuer company. And once the company confirms about the conversion, then the depositories will credit the securities in the DMAT account with the depository participant. Coming to the next term, that is rematerialization. In short, we call it as remat. It is the process whereby a client can get his electronic holdings of securities converted into physical certificates. So the opposite of dematerialization is rematerialization. If any investor or if any client want his electronic holdings to get converted into physical holdings, then he has to go through the process of remat. So here the client has to give the written request in the form of RRF, that is remat request form, to the depository participant. The DP forwards the RRF to the issuer and the depository. The issuer prints the certificates and sends them to the client, and simultaneously confirms the acceptance of remat request to the depository. The depository, via the depository participant, debits the account of the client with those securities. So rematerialization में क्या होता है? When the client wants to convert his electronic holdings into physical holding, then that process is called as rematerialization or remat process. Here the investor, he has to write a written form. That form is called as RRF, that is remat request form, and send it to the depository participant. This depository participant sends this form to the issuer company as well as to the depository system. And once the form is received by the company, then the company will print the certificates in the physical mode and sends those certificate to the client and converts the acceptance of the remat request to the depository. And here the depository, through the depository participant, debits the account of the client. So dematerialization and rematerialization are completely the opposite process. So in simple, DMAT का मतलब है when you want to get converted your physical certificates into electronic mode, this is DMAT or dematerialization process. And rematerialization means it is a process where the client can convert his electronic holdings into physical certificates. So in short, we call it as DMAT and remat. Going to the next slide, the third important concept which is there is fungibility. Okay, now what do you mean by fungibility? In simple, fungibility is nothing but ability of a good or an asset to be interchanged with other individual goods or assets of the same type. Fungibility implies equal value between the assets. So in simple, fungibility means the state of being interchangeable. Some financial assets are fungible while some are not fungible. So very simple meaning of this fungibility is when one asset is interchanged with another asset having the same value, it is called as fungibility. So fungibility का मतलब है it is the ability of a asset to get exchanged or to get interchanged, but whenever this interchange process takes place, value of the both the assets should be same. Okay, now in commerce there are some fungible assets also and there are some non fungible assets also. Now both the examples I have quoted here, the first example I have told is land is not fungible as every unit of land has its unique quality which adds to or reduces its value. Land as an asset, it is a non-fungible asset because value of the land differs from one place to another place. So it becomes a non-fungible asset. Whereas on the other hand, when we talk about the currency notes, it is a fungible asset because there is no difference between two currency notes having the same value. So common currency notes are accepted in India and the value of currency notes is the same all over India. Okay, so whenever you exchange the 50 rupee currency note with another 50 rupee currency note, the value of the currency note remains the same, that is 50 rupees only. So here currency note becomes a fungible asset because it can be interchanged because both are having the same value. Similarly, securities issued by the same company of the same class have same value no matter who owns them. The securities held in demat or electronic form are fungible, they are interchangeable, substitutable and cannot be distinguished from each other. Securities bear no notable features like distinctive number, certificate number or folio number. So when we are talking about fungibility, here one thing it is to be mentioned that the securities are always considered to be the fungible assets. Okay, fungible assets in the sense whenever the securities are held in the demat or in the electronic form, they are always considered as fungible assets. They can be interchanged easily, they can be substituted easily without any differences. So like your currency note, our securities can also be called as the fungible assets. So fungibility का मतलब है when two assets are interchanged having same value, this process is called as fungibility. Okay, then moving to the fourth term, that is International Securities Identification Number. So in short we can call it as ISIN. Okay, mainly for 2 marks you may get questions on this ISIN, so it is very important. So few things I have mentioned about this ISIN. Let us see one by one. It is a code that uniquely identifies a specific securities issue. So in simple, what do you mean by this ISIN? This is nothing but a code which is given to the securities of the company. मतलब अभी जैसे स्टूडेंट्स को, हर एक स्टूडेंट को अलग अलग रोल नंबर दिया जाता है स्कूल या कॉलेज में, वैसे ही हर एक सिक्योरिटी को एक एक अलग अलग यूनिक आईडी नंबर दिया जाता है या यूनिक नंबर दिया जाता है, उसको हम ISIN करके बुलाते हैं. ISINs in any country are allotted by that country's NNA, that is National Numbering Agency. Now who is having the authority to give the securities the code number? It is the authority is with the NNA, that is National Numbering Agency. This agencies provide the identification code to the securities. ISIN is a standard numbering system which is accepted globally. So these ISIN code numbers are accepted not only within India but they are accepted all over the world, that is globally. The International Organization of Standardization currently defines ISIN's structure. So the structure of this International Securities Identification Number is given by ISO, that is International Organization of Standardization. In India, issuing ISIN to securities is assigned by SEBI to NSDL and SEBI works as NNA in इंडिया. जैसे कि मैंने सेकेंड पॉइंट में बोला था, NNA is the agency which gives the securities a code number. Similarly, in India, this ISIN code to the securities is given by SEBI टू NSDL. मतलब NSDL में जितने भी सिक्योरिटीज ट्रेड होते हैं उन सभी सिक्योरिटीज को ये जो ISIN नंबर है इट इज गिवन बाय सेबी. But when we talk about government securities, this code is given by Reserve Bank of India. So these two things you have to remember. When the securities are traded in NSDL, then for such securities the code is given by SEBI. Whereas if we are talking about government securities, then this ISIN code is given by Reserve Bank of India. This ISIN consists of a 12-digit alphanumeric code which is divided in 3 parts, and the company has to apply for ISIN for its securities with the documents like prospectus. So this ISIN includes mainly 12 digits, and these 12 digits include alphanumeric code. Means इस 12 digit number में alphabets भी रहते हैं as well as numbers are also there. So it is a 12 digit alphanumeric code, and whenever the company applies for this ISIN, then it has to provide all the important documents, or it has to submit all the important documents, and it has to take the ISIN code from the proper authority. Okay, so the 4 important terms or concepts in this lesson are dematerialization, rematerialization, fungibility, and this ISIN. Now moving to the last part of the lesson, that is depositories in India. So when we started with the lesson, I told you India is having a multi-depository system. Means there are many depository systems working in India. Now in that, the 2 important depository systems which are working in India are NSDL and CDSL. So the Depository Act of 1996 paved the way for the establishment of depositories in India. There are 2 depositories which exist in India, namely NSDL and CDSL. So the first one is NSDL, which stands for National Security Depository Limited. It is the first and the largest depository in India, which was established in the year November 1996. So this NSDL is the oldest type as well as it is the largest depository working in India, which was established in the year November 1996. And it was promoted by IDBI, UTI and National Stock Exchange, and it has its headquarters in Mumbai. NSDL is a public limited company which is registered under Companies Act. So this NSDL institution is registered under Companies Act of 2013. NSDL provides various services to investors and other players in the capital market like stock exchanges, banks, issuers, clearing members, etc. So this NSDL provides various services to the investors as well as to the other players who are there in the capital market. It also provides services like maintenance of the accounts, demat and remat process, then settlement of the trades through market transfers. If there is any nomination facility, that is also done. Transfer and transmission of securities is done. Dividend distributions is done. Freezing or locking of the investor's account is done. And if there are any investors grievances, like if any investor is facing any problem or if any investor is having any complaint, then such things will be solved by this NSDL. Then going to the second one, that is CDSL, the Central Depository Services Limited. It began its operations in February 1999. So the month and the year you people need to remember. NSDL was started in November 1996 and CDSL started in the year February 1999. And it was promoted by BSE jointly with several banks. As NSDL was promoted by IDBI, Unit Trust of India and NSE. On the other hand, CDSL was promoted or it was formed by Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, jointly with the help of several banks. And it has its headquarters in Mumbai, and it has a wide depository participant network and offers the demat services similar to NSDL across the country. So all the services which are provided by NSDL are provided by CDSL also. All the demat related services are provided by CDSL across the country. Both these institutions have played a tremendous or an important role in the success of depository system in India. The last part is distinction between dematerialization and rematerialization. So few points I have mentioned here. Those are the difference which is given between dematerialization and rematerialization. One by one we will see what are the differences. First, coming to the meaning, demat is a process of converting your physical certificates into electronic form, whereas remat is a process of converting your electronic holdings into physical form. Then coming to the second one, conversion. In dematerialization, the paper form of certificates or the paper form of securities are converted into electronic form, whereas in remat process, the electronic records are converted into physical or paper securities. Then use of form. In dematerialization, DRF is used, that is demat request form, whereas in rematerialization, RRF is used, that is remat request form. Coming to this sequence, this is an initial process, that is dematerialization is the initial or the first or the primary process, whereas rematerialization is the reverse process. मतलब डीमैट में क्या होता है, your physical certificates are converted into electronic, so it is the initial or the primary process, whereas the remat is the reverse process when your electronic holdings are converted into your physical holdings. Then identification of securities. In dematerialization, dematted securities have no distinctive numbers, they are fungible, whereas in rematerialization, securities will have certificate and distinctive numbers which are issued by the company. In demat, what happens, all the securities, they are electronically traded, so there are no distinctive numbers given to the securities, they can be interchangeable easily, whereas in remat, everything is dealt physically, or because of these physical certificates, they are having distinctive certificate numbers which are given by the company. Then the sixth point is securities maintenance authority. In dematerialization, depository is responsible or custodian of securities and records, whereas in rematerialization, the issuing company is the record keeping authority. Securities are maintained by the investor. Now, who is responsible for maintaining the securities? If it is in case of demat, depository system is responsible to maintain the securities as well as the records, whereas in remat, records are maintained by the issuing company, but securities are maintained by the investor. Then the last point is difficulty of process. Demat is a easy process. Also, it is not a time consuming process, whereas remat is not only time consuming but also a complex process. So when we compare between the two process, demat is a easy and quick process, whereas rematerialization is a time consuming as well as it is a bit lengthy process. Okay, so this was the last part of the lesson, that is distinction between dematerialization and rematerialization, and maybe only one distinctive question is there, that is distinction question is there in this lesson. So you may get this question either for 6 marks or for 3 marks. Okay, so let me stop here in today's video. In the next video we shall start with a new lesson. Okay, thank you.